We're bringing you the shocking, the stupid, and the ridiculous in this video. Here's what happens when men don't hold back against woke people. There are two people in this argument. One of these people is not keeping their cool and using logic, and the other one is Ben Shapiro.
How does it feel for you to have poisoned the American public and what you've been perpetuating? Hate, racism, white supremacy, and the genocide that is being carried out on the Palestinian people.
And how does it feel to stand for Hamas? Does that feel good to you? Do you feel good standing in solidarity with a terrorist group that has murdered 1,200 Jews?
I feel very good standing in solidarity with Palestinian people who have been murdered by Israel by U.S.-paid tax dollars and bonds, and you have continued to spew hate.
Hamas should not stop war on behalf of its citizens and then shoot its own citizens, and you stand for it, makes you a disgrace
The people
to
of
human dignity
Palestine
and
have been
human rights.
occupied for 75 years, and the blood is on the hands of every person in this Congress and every person who watches your propaganda of hate, white supremacy,
It's on your hands
racism.
because you refuse to say that Hamas should surrender.
The
End of
American
story.
public for them to also be complicit in what is going on in Palestine.
When you start using woke logic against a woke person, their system begins to shut down, and that's what we see here.
Does anyone else want to just be really bold and outlandish and tell us about your period? Because I don't know if that's an argument.
Are you a woman?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we need a man. You're a woman?
Yeah, I'm an African-American lesbian Jew.
I mean, what?
Are you
Men. How does that make sense?
Exactly. Wait, we're all men?
Has a vagina.
Where'd Rachel go? They're all.
Do you have a vagina?
We've been out. Hey, I don't have a vagina, but I do believe in human
Why
rights.
does your opinion matter?
So the females that are out here with us,
No, bro,
hey,
you have a
hey, listen.
menstrual cycle. Any of them. I'm
Hey.
on my period right now. What's up?
Hey, I'm not on my period right now, that's for sure. But if I claimed it, I guess we would be in a weird place, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Because
This next one is a 10 out of 10 points from Charlie Kirk, who breaks down why this young woman is totally misguided and, more importantly, way out of her depth.
I believe that the Constitution's the best document in political history.
Greatest political document ever
There you
written.
go.
Thank you.
I want to know, how is it possible to believe that when it's based on racist principles? They describe indigenous peoples as merciless Indian savages, and they don't even recognize other people of color. I just want to know how you think it's possible to believe that's such a great document we're
Thank
founded
you for the
upon.
question. Where does it say that in the document?
What?
Where does it say what you said in the actual document?
I'm not entirely sure,
It
but...
doesn't.
No,
Do you know what it does say? Provide for the general welfare of all people. What you said is nowhere in the founding documents at all. What you said is what some of the prejudices that was in the people of the founding fathers. This is called a logical fallacy. Tell me why the document is not correct. Don't tell me the sins of the authors. It's a big difference.
Deflection is the name of the game from this woke woman, and Tucker is not in the mood to play games with her.
Wow. Let me just ask you one quick question. I mean, this is obviously a pointless conversation. And I think less of you after, I have to say.
I already think
but
less of you, so
it's an
don't.
honest question. Have you thought about it? Do you have a real answer to what the governor of Virginia said, or are you going to throw yet another talking point at me? I mean, have you actually thought about it? Will you answer that question at all?
I have thought about it, and I am telling
And what do
you
you think?
that your party is attempting to change the conversation about Roe v. Wade and take control of women's
It'd be
bodies. I'm
interesting.
sorry that
Okay.
as a man, what you're focused on is controlling women's bodies, but we will not allow you to do that.
This is a child who's been born. This is not a woman's body. This is an
It just
independent
confuses
person.
me why
that
you
the-
pretend that you have concerns over children when you're completely fine with ICE tearing families apart and children dying in federal custody.
Monica.
This girl is not here to have a serious conversation, and the idea of these two ever agreeing is simply ludicrous.
I never
I
argue
want to
that.
ask you, if 8-year-old me got pregnant, what would you want me to do?
8-year-old you got pregnant?
Yes.
Surround you with love, care, help. If you want to put the baby up for adoption, help you do that.
I would die if I gave birth to a baby at 8 years old.
You'd probably need a C-section,
You
for
want
sure.
a child to go through that trauma? You want a child to give birth to the
Instead of letting the rapist go free and punishing the child to
You're
death,
telling me 8-year-old me that got raped, I
Right.
should have gave birth to the baby
Well-
if I got pregnant?
I don't want to ask too personal of a question, but 8-year-old you could get pregnant?
What do you mean by that?
I'm just wondering.
I'm fed up with this. I'm fed up. That's fucking
Why? I mean, you can make it 13.
Who did you rape, huh? That's what I want to know.
No one.
No one.
I've done many sins. That's not one of them.
This next one is just plain embarrassing. These are not the people you want representing your side of the argument.
Hamas invaded Israel on the 7th of October. What was your initial reaction to that?
I don't believe they did, they? Hamas? I think so. Honestly, I think I need to be a bit more clued up on everything that's going on. So I feel like I'm not really qualified to answer that too well. I mean, I'm not sure if I've seen anything that shows that that's actually happened or factually correct.
Some people are great at talking a bunch without saying anything, and that's what we see here. And just wait until she goes to plan B.
Do you feel proud of yourself for debating college kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself? Hold on. You're 30 years old. We can agree you're 30 years old, right? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered
so
voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Than a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone.
Actually, when I first saw this ad, I thought it was like an improv comedy thing. It looked so ridiculous that I didn't even think it was real.
Well, no, you could see. Look how popular Trump is on your campus. How does that make you feel? That's not comedy. That is a 5-alarm fire for Kamala Harris because she's probably going to lose Pennsylvania.
Look.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking to voters.
Well, that's what we're doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Such as?
Your stance on abortion rights, for example.
Here we go. Okay, so
let me ask a question. What is your name?
Jean.
Jean. And what is your understanding of the current Republican Party's stance on federal intervention in abortion?
Well, I know that they want to bring it back to the states, right?
So it sounds like you do know that the Republican Party's current stance on abortion is they're against a federal ban on abortion.
I do understand
and we're talking about
that,
a presidential election as the important election that we're talking about here.
I understand that, yes.
Great. So, again, I think this open dialogue is great. I think it's great you're here challenging Charlie, and I think it's great that he's willing to travel campuses across this country to talk to the next generation. We need more conversation. Now, where's the disagreement, though, on content? Because you could criticize style or why you're talking to people or dunk on someone personally, but where do you actually disagree with the substance?
With the way that you edit content and specifically frame it so that people look bad talking to you. The way that you edit your content.
We post unedited content.
Let me just ask you one thing, though, because personal insults can fly in all directions. Where is an area where you have a disagreement with the conservative movement, with Donald Trump, with Charlie Kirk, perhaps with myself? I was a presidential candidate last year. I think we need to talk about that more in the open, and the more we do, the stronger our country is going to be. We got a long line of people, but I want to hear from you one substantive area where you have an authentic disagreement, and I'd be glad to address it. I'm sure Charlie would too.
Just in anything.
Political relating to any political.
Just in
anything.
Political
relating to any political topic where you have a disagreement. Let's air it.
Okay. I disagree with some of the laws that are being pushed in Congress that are against the LGBTQ community and the trans community.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to give you my view, and then I want to hear yours.
Okay.
My view is that if you're a fully grown adult, 18 or above, you're free to live how you want, dress how you want, marry who you want if you want, if you're over the age of 18.
I agree.
But you are not free to indoctrinate children in schools who are not yet of the age of consent. You are not free, just as you're a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old can't get a tattoo on their own, I don't think that you should be able to go until the age of 18. And so the lines that I draw here is that men are free to claim to be women and swim in swimming pools. You're not free to claim trophies in a women's sports competition. You're not free to enter a women's locker room, you're not free to change a language, and you're not free to actually indoctrinate our children who are under the age of 5 in schools. Do we agree on the fact that adults should be able to live freely while still treating children differently? If so, we're on the same side of this issue.
Listen, I agree with the majority of what you said. However, I don't think that you're understanding the implications of the laws that are trying to be passed.
Look, we got a head start in the conversation. We got a long line behind you. But my only ask is, forget the personal attacks or the stylistic attacks. Focus on substance. The more we debate that, the stronger we're going to be as a country. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I don't think you're focusing on substance, though. That's the issue.
Hold on. Look, he intentionally tried to provoke substance out of you, and you said, well, I'm worried about some laws Congress should pass. I have to ask, what laws are you talking about? Can you be specific?
I'm sorry, I'm very nervous, but this is what you do. This is what you do. You take people and you put them under the spotlight, and you.
Well, hold on. I didn't ask you to come up here. You voluntarily came to the front of the line. You didn't have to do that.
You're purposely antagonizing people on campus, asking people to come up by spreading your weird agenda.
How? What agenda is that? I'm confused, though.
So, Charlie, I'll say this. We'll end on this and we'll go to the next question. When I was 18, and I'm not going to blame you for this, I also took for granted a lot of the stuff that the media force-fed me, because that's what you know at the age of 18. You say there are some vague laws making their way through Congress that are hostile to trans community.
Know how?
I don't think those laws actually exist, but I don't blame you if that's what the...
This is just basic common sense. And yet, this young woman needs it to be spelled out to her in the most basic way imaginable.
If I paid you £70 now, would you admit that this country would be nothing without our rich history of immigration?
Well, I tell you what. And this is what's gone wrong. Because you talk about immigration, and it ran from after the war up until the millennium at net 30 to 40,000 a year. And yes, it worked. In fact, we had the most successful immigration policies of any country in the whole of Europe. No question. Now, it is so totally out of control. Just think about this. 2.5 million people have come in the last 2 years. You wonder why you can't get a house. You wonder why your rents have gone up 25% in 4 years. You wonder why our infrastructure is struggling. You wonder why we have to build a new house every 2 minutes just to cope with the numbers. And that's the issue. It's now running at numbers that are literally unimaginable and are diminishing the quality of life of everybody in this country. And frankly, this should be the biggest issue of this election.
This woman probably thought she had Pierre Poilievre backed into a corner when she asked for this definition, but she could not have been more wrong.
And I wonder if you would like to kind of backtrack or apologize on characterizing the CRTC as a small group of privileged insiders closest to the Prime Minister. And I would also ask him if he would like to define the word woke. I asked one of his colleagues as well for that definition, and I'd like to see what he has to say. Thank you.
Leader of the opposition.
Actually, I will backtrack. It is a big group of insiders, Madam Speaker. It is a big, sprawling bureaucracy with far too many people working for it. There will be less people working for the CRTC when I'm Prime Minister because they'll have less power and they'll have a hell of a lot less to do when I restore freedom of speech and freedom of expression online and on the Internet. And as for the definition of woke, woke has one purpose, only one purpose. Plenty of pretexts, but only one purpose: control. It is designed to divide people by race, by gender, by ethnicity, by religion, by vaccine status, and any other way that they can divide people into groups. Because why? Then you can justify having a government to control all those groups. No more woke. We need freedom.
If you've ever watched The Weakest Link, you'll know Annie Robinson is as sharp as they come. But in this case, she was clearly outgunned.
Howard.
Anne.
Are you more interesting than you look?
It's all in the mind, eye of the beholder, Ann.
What do you do?
I'm a business development manager for a large bank in the Northeast.
Okay. Tell me if there's anything interesting about your job.
Absolutely not. No. It's interesting to me, but I'm sure that it would probably go right over your head.
You're always very quick, are you, Howard?
In some things, yes. In other things, I like to take my time. You know what I mean?
I've absolutely no idea what you mean. What do you mean?
Somehow, I don't doubt that.
They say ignorance is bliss, but if you're ignorant in a debate, you're just gonna end up looking like a fool.
Let's move on to the dairy industry, where mothers are raped, and once they give birth after a 9-month pregnancy, her baby is often immediately taken away from her. Why? So you can drink her breast milk. If her baby is born male, he's murdered. He's shot in the head on the spot by the farmer, or he's sent to a slaughterhouse to be processed as veal. We're talking about babies just days to weeks old. This is the dairy industry. In the egg industry, chickens are forced to lay hundreds more eggs than they're naturally bred to. And the male chicks are macerated on their first day of life because they're born males. So that's the same in the dairy industry. The males are murdered as babies because they're not considered profitable. These industries subject animals to enslavement, rape, torture, abuse, and murder, and they should have the right to live just like we do, and we need to stop oppressing species. If you don't believe me, you can go onto YouTube and watch Dominion. It's an Australian documentary. We've both met people who took the footage in these industries. They suffer from severe PTSD from what they've witnessed. They risk their lives to get this footage. It's not propaganda. See it for yourself. We've both been inside these places, and we've seen what is happening to non-human animals, and it is an absolute atrocity. It is more than abuse. It's the largest Holocaust in history, with 3 trillion individuals brutally murdered every year. Just
You've
human
never
food
visited
consumption.
my place.
How do you know?
Because if you had, you'd know that you're talking a load of shit.
And what animals do you farm? What is your industry, may I
I run a
ask?
goat dairy.
First and foremost,
I run a goat dairy. Now, for a start, we don't rape our animals.
Yes, you use euphemisms such as artificial insemination, which
I
is
don't
rape.
use artificial insemination. I run my bucks with my herd. My bucks get the girls when the girls are in season, and only then. And it's their choice, nature's choice. We allow our kids to stay on their mother. We only take the excess milk. So you're talking a load of shit.
But you're making profit from animals, right? They're commodities to you.
No,
you
I
have
sell
ownership
their
over
milk
them.
so that they can get food. They get fed. They get fed better than I do.
Our argument here is that
No,
animals
your
should be bred
argument,
into existence in the first
your
place
argument,
to be
your argument has
commodified.
nothing to do with exactly what I do. So until
You are abusing your animals.
No,
That's
I'm
what
not.
you do. Yes.
Let me
You're
ask you
making
something.
profit
If
from
I'm
them.
abusing my animals, why is it that I can walk out in the paddock, I can call them by name, and every single one of my animals come up and want to rub their faces on me? If I'm abusing them, why are they so friendly to me?
Can you tell me what happens once they're considered no longer profitable to you?
They are
What do you
not.
do with
They're
them?
never considered no longer profitable to me.
Once they can no longer produce breast milk, they reach a certain age
Well,
where they
you
can't
see,
be
that's the
pregnant.
other thing where you say that we rape them. The thing is, my goats, I've got one there that's been milking for 5 years, and she produces 3.5
You didn't
litres of
answer
milk
the
a day.
question. You didn't answer our question.
What question was that?
Once they're considered no longer profitable, when they can no longer
I eat the
produce
damn
breast
things
milk,
because I'm a canine.
what happens with them?
I eat them because I'm a canine.
And is that abuse or not?
No, it's not. I eat the damn things.
How do they die?
How do they die? I kill them.
You kill them. Is
Myself.
that not abuse?
No.
If you were to be killed, would that be a form of abuse?
No.
No, okay.
I've done that. I've actually killed human beings. I was a soldier. I'm an ex-soldier.
This is your farmer.
I'm an ex-soldier. I'm not everyday farmer. I'm just happen to be an ex-soldier. So I have killed people. But I have killed people at the instigation of the government. Not my choice.
Yeah, but you murder animals and you
No,
abuse
I
them
don't murder
and you make
animals.
profit from them.
I don't murder animals, dear.
Yes, you do.
Woke people just don't respond well to logic sometimes, and to say he has this person cornered would be the understatement of the century.
Let me ask you a question. Who's likely to work harder? An employee that has a job that is guaranteed in their tenure, they can't be fired, or someone whose position is unsure?
Who would work harder?
Yeah.
Probably the person whose position is unsure. So they want to keep their job.
Oh, so wouldn't it be fair to say by that same analogy that a girlfriend is probably going to be work harder than a wife would?
Not necessarily.
Why?
I could, because some women may believe, they're not going to cook for a man until they're, that wife status, or they may not do X, Y, Z or help out in X, Y, Z way until they become a wife. They're given that status of a wife. So, I'm saying.
If you're trying to get a job, or if you're in a position and you want to get promoted, wouldn't it be fair to say that you need to do what that position requires before you get the job?
If you look at it from a job promotion type standpoint.
Yeah, but isn't that what promoting a girlfriend to a wife is?
Not
Realistically
necessarily.
speaking? No?
This kid's arrogance and stupidity are off the charts. You really need to hear him yourself to truly believe this.
The most agreed upon the most agreed upon academic theory is Intro to Critical Race Theory, 1991 by Derek Bell.
Yeah. Wait, but...
Are you familiar with that literature?
Well, yeah, I've read the book, but I don't remember anything about it. It was for, a college class. Let's be honest. Nobody remembers the books they read in college.
Sounds like a great value proposition to go to college.
No, it is. Trust me. But, but you didn't go to college, so I guess you wouldn't know.
It's true, I didn't. So let me ask you, though, does that mean that I'm not able to have this conversation with you? Because I actually remember the book and you didn't, and you paid for it.
So, first of all, I didn't pay for it. There's these things called scholarships.
Oh, so somebody else paid for you not to remember the book that
Exactly.
you were supposed to read. Oh,
Anyways.
some wealthy donor or taxpayer paid for you to not remember the book.
Everyone in the room was thinking it, but only one person had the guts to come out and say it.
Agreeing with the business case of the airlines in terms of obesity.
That's greed, Lynn, and that's just greed.
Okay.
Well,
I
you
think
think
you're
you're
a
a
perfect
example of greed, Sweet Pea, because you weigh 25 stone. Actually...
This is just another example of a total mismatch. These two are not even in the same stratosphere when it comes to their debating, critical thinking, and reasoning skills.
Do you view democracy as an American value, something that's very important to the fabric of this country?
No. Where is democracy in the U.S. Constitution?
Oh, okay. So are you...
No, hold on. Where is the word democracy?
I don't think the word democracy is
it's
in
not.
the
So
Constitution.
where is the word democracy in any of the founding
Well,
fathers?
A lot of the
They're-
founding fathers had extremely elitist viewpoints around who should...
Hold on. I just want you said the word democracy, so I want to get back to our roots.
Yes.
Where is democracy mentioned?
I don't...
In the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, or the Declaration?
I think it's good that this country has moved away from
Got
things
it.
that were
So it
explicitly
is
believed by the
mentioned
founding
in the Federalist
fathers.
Papers, and it's mentioned negatively as a problem. So you asked me, is democracy a fundamental American value? I say no.
Okay.
Because I go back to our roots. And
Do you...
Hamilton, Madison, and Jay...
Oh, I know that
spoke-
Hamilton was anti-democracy.
No, no,
Like,
well, hold on,
these
let me
people
finish.
thought that people should be
But
owned as
I want to be
property.
clear. I
Yeah.
am pro-representative government,
Okay.
but I'm not pro-democracy. That's a big difference, and that distinction's important. But you asked very specifically about democracy, which is
Okay.
not an American value. It never has been and never should be, because what is democracy? Democracy is majority rule no matter what. That there's no provisions of checks and balances, no inalienable rights, no separation of powers, pure if the majority gets it, the majority wants it as quickly as possible.
I don't advocate pure democracy. I do understand that we live in a
Cool.
representative... Like, we live
Got
in a
it. So
republic, and
believe
I
in
understand these things.
representative
Yeah.
government.
Okay.
And you might say I'm splitting
Well, I
hairs
would-
on words, but
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, so it's coming from a place where, on some level, we have a level of democracy in this country, and people vote, and it's part of their civic duty to vote.
Representative, sure.
Yes. Do you not think it is in the greater interest of this country at large that its citizens are as educated as possible to therefore be able to participate in that
I
system?
think they should be as wise as possible, and I don't think that education and wisdom are the same thing.
Yeah, I
In fact,
understand.
I think college disincentivizes the cultivation of wisdom.
in the age where there is such a hypersaturation of, and we've seen this, like extremely polarizing different, like people are getting their news from wildly different sources.
Yes.
People just don't interact with the other side at all. Do you think that being an autodidact in any sense of the term is going to give you a thorough and rigorous education if you are like so likely to end up sucked into these holes where you're never
Well,
interacting
that's not my
with
only
people who
form of learning. I meet
Okay.
a lot of cool people. I learn from people like you and others. I mean, I'm listening when you're talking. It's not just a shtick. You haven't won me over on any of it, but you had an opportunity to. But I'm glad you attempted to. But yeah, I mean, you learn in other ways other than just sitting in a classroom, listening to a professor drone on for 90 minutes and pretending to read his book and paying $20,000 a semester to cheat on the exam at the end of the semester.
I think college is what you make of it. I think
I agree. So is
people,
life.
people are selling themselves short on
No,
their
I
education
agree.
if they
you,
don't
you can listen to
get
as many
anything out of their
podcasts as you
classes.
want. You can meet interesting people. And
Academia does have like an actual level of like you have to prove that you're worth your salt, at least to have peer-reviewed papers published,
No, I mean, yeah,
which
if
you
you get
don't
a
have
P-
to do to start a podcast.
If you get a PhD, yes, but hold on. So is your contention that I'm not informed or not worldly or not wise? I want to be clear.
I'm not making any claims about your specific level of being informed. I'm
Okay.
saying the general rhetoric on the right against education, against higher education
Well, hold on.
specifically.
Why do you think it is? Is it because you think we hate smart people, or is it that there's something happening here that we really think is troubling?
I think it's much easier to control people who are less educated.
See, now you're a conspiracy theorist. So, no, it's...
Anti-intellectualism is a hallmark of fascism.
Do you think we're against higher education because it largely has created an ungrateful, unprepared generation that goes into the American body politic and does not share the core American values of freedom of speech, gratitude for our founding, consent of the governed? In fact, it's hyper-radical. And it's against our traditions, our norms, and our customs, and it's created massive fissures. We call that the woke mind virus, if you will.
Okay, that makes...
It's not because people are easier to control. In fact, we love learning. I learn every day. In fact, that's why I'm pro Hillsdale College, where it's probably one of the hardest colleges in the country to get into and graduate from. The problem is that when you are learning largely trash and crap, and you're not going in the pursuit of truth, beauty, or goodness, and you're not trying to inculcate wisdom or good character,
There's no oversight on online political punditry to make sure that you're in pursuit of wisdom and goodness.
No, of course
you
there's not. I mean-
directly profit from propagating viewpoints that are more polarizing and that suck people deeper into more conspiratorial
Well, hold on.
thinking.
So what you're doing is you're actually insulting the audience, not me. Because the vast majority of this audience actually enjoys watching my videos, and they enjoy hearing from me.
I never said your audience didn't enjoy watching your videos.
Because you say I'm profiting. The way
You do profit, like
But
you
who do think-
financially,
hold
you
on
make a
second.
ton of
Who do
money
you think
from getting more
rewards me,
clicks.
though? The audience rewards me because they find that I bring some value.
Well, I don't
and that they
necessarily
learn
think
something from
that
me.
whatever gets
I
the
wanna get
most
to the next
eyes
question.
on a specific.
But
yeah,
it's
no, I
easy to
understand.
attack me as exploitation. What I say is actually very popular and resonates with people. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This next one reeks of hypocrisy, and there's no way she was ever gonna wriggle her way out of this one. Yeah, not a good look.
So you think it's fine to say to religious people that they are prohibited from gathering outside, wearing a mask, socially distanced? They can't do it. But if you want to come and protest and defund the police, if you want to support that, that's fine. You can gather in mass, person to person, close up, thousands of people. That's okay. That discrimination's okay. That's your position.
Senator, that is not my position.
It was your position. It's what you argued.
I did not write these orders. What I said.
You defended it in court, and you just articulated to me what I take to be your position. Why were the restrictions that you defended struck down as discriminatory? Why were they? You know the facts. You were a good lawyer. Why'd you lose?
Senator.
Oh, come on, Judge. Don't make me do this. Do you want me to go through it for you? You lost because Mayor Bowser was going to mass protests herself personally with thousands of people. At the same time she was doing that, she was prohibiting churches, religious people, from gathering socially distanced outside wearing masks.
This one is truly insane. She clearly can't give a straight answer, but the way she tries to deflect is totally shocking.
9/11 is Palestine's 24/7.
That's completely.
Let me bring in Louise. Let me bring in Louise here.
I found it really shocking. I have to say that your organisation within our lifetime said that it was an act of resistance on October the 7th. I mean, that is the most un-Islamic thing I've ever heard in my life. Tying the hands of little children behind them, covering them in petrol and then burning them alive. Please tell me, what is resistance about such inhumane torture of kids?
Since you want to bring up Islam, in Islam we believe that the bloodshed of any innocent person is equal to killing all of humanity. And this is something that, we believe. Unfortunately, Palestinians are put in a situation where they're in an open-air prison. What we were celebrating that day is them breaking out of that open-air prison. I don't understand how the world expects
It's one of the reasons.
people.
It's one of the reasons why you're not so keen to condemn what Hamas did on October the 7th, because you're fearful of publicly doing that. Are all Palestinians fearful of speaking out against Hamas, actually? Because there's a very good reason to be fearful.